Everyone, happy Wednesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread. First card we are starting our day off with today is the Judgment card. So a lot of decisions being made today, a lot of points of activity. We like to see this card right now because as we identified, for masculine and feminine energy not in partnership right now, there has been feeling like there's been this bit of rigidity. 2 energies. I think I described it yesterday as like an unstoppable force meeting an impenetrable object. We're kind of hitting that point right now for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership. But we are seeing right now that there are some decisions that are being reached today. We like to see this energy. It is productive. For masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership right now, this is also very positive energy because what we're effectively seeing is there is this point of coming into mutual agreement around some circumstances or situations. This is allowing you also to move forward with a sense of easement. Second card coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today is we have here the 3 of Swords. So this could be some decisions right now that are difficult, but that are also allowing some progress forward. A lot of this is also having to navigate some spaces and places right now that may be difficult, that may be challenging. Even for the masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this time, this could be feeling like there are some hard decisions that need to be made at this moment. While for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership, these are simultaneously the same. This could again be giving some of that bittersweet energy that we've been identifying and seeing as it relates to some circumstances and situations at play right now. This is one of those moments that we're really identifying that decisions are being reached. Hard choices are effectively being made for today. Now, third card coming through in our 5-card spread for today is we have here our 9 of Cups in its reversal. One of the things that we're effectively identifying right now that needs to be worked through right now for both masculine and feminine energy at this moment has to do with the fact that around some circumstances or situations that there is some kind of feeling of being able to fully put forth into things. This could even be an issue or trigger point right now for the energies in partnership. There may be a need right now to feel like you can be in your most open, authentic expression of self at this time. For masculine and feminine energy that are in this partnership energy, we are seeing that even this is a bit of a challenge right now because there could be a point right now of identifying some limitations, some spaces or places that you feel that there isn't this full giving forth that is occurring. This is that point of identification, though, that is allowing some decisions to be made. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is effectively one of these moments that we see that there is a bit of this clearing of the cycle that's happening, specifically around circumstances or situations that you are potentially feeling that there is not this giving forth that is apparently happening at this time. Masculine and feminine we see are going through different cycles here, but this is really important to understand and navigate right now because what we're seeing for the feminine is feminine has been pulling back their energy. Feminine has been continually pulling back their energy at this moment. And feminine has been doing this specifically, again, around circumstances or situations that they do not feel like they are seeing the full breadth of something, that something isn't being made or fully shown to them. It's in this way that feminine energy is effectively allowing some choices to be made at this time, given the fact that this is not necessarily coming forth in this degree. For masculine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is the same simultaneous energy. One of the problems right now that we're seeing for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership is there is a bit of mirroring that's happening here. Both masculine and feminine energy are holding back to a certain level right now for very different reasons. Feminine is holding back because they are on this healing journey. Feminine is specifically, we saw, protecting the heart space by being very cautious at this time. They also are seeing here that for the feminine energy that is experiencing this, there is a feeling that the masculine isn't being completely open, isn't being completely honest. There is something here that we identified yesterday around the masculine energy, even potentially recognizing that the feminine energy wanted a level or degree of transparency around things, or something that the masculine did not want to put forth because it was triggering the masculine's own ego to do so. Feminine and masculine energy right now are also feeling like there is this sense of withholding that's occurring, and it is making them be in a space of heartache or heartbreak. But we see here that productivity is happening here as decisions are reached in terms of how to proceed forward from this. For masculine and feminine in partnership at this moment, there could be a lot of discussions right now around situations and scenarios that you effectively don't feel are giving forth to the same level and degree that you yourself are trying to. This is mutual work that is potentially happening, or potentially some discussions in the partnership about potentially one or another's contribution to the partnership that may be causing some level or degree of stress or frustration. So even in partnership today, this may be or have to do with some difficult conversations. Fourth card that we see coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here the Page of Cups in its reversal. So for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this may have to do with a lot of the energy as it relates to what people are doing with their spare time. This is going to feel a little bit easier right now if you're in partnership at this moment, because this is looking a lot like a lot of discussions as it relates to the level of contribution that someone is effectively putting forth to the partnership itself. Masculine and feminine energy right now that's in this vibration, there could be a lot of discussion about asking someone to contribute more, feeling some points of frustration that one person or another person in the partnership itself isn't effectively matching the energy of the other as it relates to some situations and circumstances. So this could be something that could be a bit of a frustration point if you are in partnership at this moment. But again, it is coming from a space of productivity to be able to allow a degree or level of making some decisions that are going to make things easier going forward. Just make sure today, if you are in partnership, you don't allow this to become more of a triggering space, because we do see here that there are some energy here that could feel like there is a little bit of pain that's coming into this circumstance or situation. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is going to feel a lot heavier, because what we effectively are identifying here is for the energies that are not in partnership right now, we are seeing that there is this moment that is creating a sense or level of heartache. Feminine, we are seeing it is the feminine has been effectively open to situations and circumstances so long as the masculine is able to put forth and match their own energy. Feminine in one shape or form right now is effectively potentially identifying circumstances or situations where they don't feel like there is this level or degree of transparency around the masculine. And that, as we said, we even noticed for a lot of the feminine energy yesterday that even a masculine energy showing any level or degree of trepidation or pause in providing this level of clarity, in providing this level of openness, was enough for the feminine energy to effectively turn away. It kind of settled it for the feminine energy. It was all that they needed to see. And that was effectively the confirmation to the feminine that the masculine was not necessarily coming from a space or place of authenticity, but potentially coming from a space where they're just kind of moving in a vibration that only serves their own needs and desires, more from a space of trying to come from a point of a pleasure center as opposed to one of commitment. Feminine energy is not having that right now. Feminine energy is very firm in terms of what they are seeking. We saw this in the cards over the last few days. Feminine energy is seeking transparency and integrity from masculine energy right now above all. Feminine energy is effectively potentially making a point right now, if they have not received this level or degree of openness and transparency from the masculine, this is potentially the moment that the feminine energy is continuing on their healing journey, even though it is difficult and painful, because feminine energy is recommitting right now to that healing journey, not wanting to allow any energy in that may cause further heartbreak. Masculine energy right now, as we identified, this is that moment. And again, for half of the feminine energy, we will see that there is this moment effectively in terms of seeing if the masculine can put forward to this degree. But for a lot of the feminine energy, if that doesn't effectively come through today, then this is the moment that the feminine energy is just continuing forward on this journey, allowing this to be a clearing space. For masculine energy that's going through this right now, this is a moment that you are identifying this potentially in the feminine energy. You are recognizing the fact that there is basically a wall between you and the feminine right now. That wall has to do with your own ability to be open, to be able to be in that space or place of being fully transparent. Masculine energy are also potentially recognizing that this is requiring you to maintain or to come into a level of seriousness. The difficulty with some of the masculine energy that is in separation right now around this is the fact that masculine energy recognizes that to be able to come forward in this degree and capacity, energy would effectively remove their own degree or ability to do what you desire, to potentially move from a state of space or pleasure, as opposed to moving with a lot of intentionality going forward. This is, again, more of that make or break moment that we're seeing right now between the masculine and the feminine, because the masculine energy here effectively is still weighing this. For half of the masculine energy right now, this is that moment that you're effectively allowing this to occur. You're recognizing now that this may be a point. And I have to stress, for both energies, this is feeling bittersweet. This is feeling painful, because for half the masculine energy that is proceeding forward in this way, that is opening up in this degree, this is creating a space that is painful, because you recognize that you are losing some of that ability to be able to navigate and do the things that you want to do, operate from a sense of pleasure. You're recognizing that there is a bit of a cost in being that open and honest and forthright. For the other part of the masculine energy, this is a bridge too far. This is something that you're not willing to do. You're not willing to sacrifice your own level or degree of autonomy to a certain extent in order to be this open and transparent. This is you going further on your journey. And this is also creating a state or space of heartbreak at this time, because it is in either side, masculine is feeling the pain of what they must do going forward from this point. This is giving a lot of that energy, like either way you fall right now, masculine, this could be feeling like a bit of heartbreak. For feminine right now, feminine is basically at this point right now that feminine's just like staying very strong on this conviction. Feminine energy is not allowing anything in that is going to create further heartbreak, and that has to do with feminine masculine energy not showing an intentionality or moving from a state or place of only moving for their own enjoyment. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 8 of Pentacles. So this is showing a commitment to a path right now. This is very productive. Again, it's a difficult day right now for both masculine and feminine energy, especially if you're not in partnership right now, because this is effectively reaffirming your own commitment to the path that you're effectively moving towards at this time. Feminine energy is effectively redoubling down in terms of staying focused on their own productivity, on what is working. They're continuing to put their time, energy, and effort in that. Feminine energy could even be distracting themselves by putting a lot of care and attention right now into the practical matters. This is more of that Ace of Pentacles in its reversal that we identified, that we recognized was occurring yesterday, with that over doubling of effort and energy, almost to the point of distraction, channeling that passion into productivity. We see a continuation of the card of the day coming through in today's reading. For feminine energy, this is effectively how you're trying to navigate some of this feeling of difficulty, some of this burden that you're carrying. You are allowing this work to help push you through, and you're keeping your conviction and focus to that, even through some situations and circumstances that you may feel that you have to move away from right now, because the energy is moving too much in a state or space of centering on their own pleasure and enjoyment. While for masculine energy, this is effectively you having to commit to a path right now. This is also masculine energy right now, recognizing or experiencing that this is a moment that is either requiring them to give forth in this degree, to give forth in this capacity, to open up in this way. For some of the masculine energy, you're effectively potentially doing that today. And it's a little bit of a heartbreak moment, because again, that is the transformation. You're recognizing that you're leaving a part of you behind as you move into this level or degree of new seriousness, effectively abandoning some of this movement of pleasure or self-actualized pleasure, effectively, as opposed to moving into a space or place that could lead to divine partnership. For the other part of the masculine energy at this time, what we're really effectively seeing is the fact that this is a moment that you're effectively recognizing that that is, again, a bridge too far. You're not ready to cross that threshold. You are going to effectively continue on this space and place. You are refocusing and redoubling your effort and energy into those spaces and places that are allowing you to get your mind off of that pain or off of that difficulty. For masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership, in union at this time, This is a moment that we're effectively identifying is allowing for productivity to happen. There is a moment today about, again, confronting heartbreak, maybe even recognizing some spaces or places that may need or require more contribution from one person or another in the partnership at this moment. This is effectively creating right now a space or place that could be a little frustrating for both energies, potentially because it is kind of requiring a point of addressing in terms of potentially even having these energies going back and forth in partnership, saying that they don't feel like one or the other is giving forth in the same way. But what we appreciate and see right now in the energies that are experiencing some of this is potentially a recommitment or redoubling of efforts, as it were, to be able to concentrate on how to make the partnership continue to work most effectively. Now, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Judgment card in combination with our Three of Swords. So, a moment right now of difficulty, hard decisions being reached right now, painful decisions, but also allowing this to be a point of decision going forward. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Strength card. This is a moment right now that is requiring a lot of strength. There's something here that is requiring one to face difficult situations, difficult hurdles. One thing I like to point out whenever we see this type of energy is that this is effectively pointing us in the direction of identifying that a heartache that is faced is a heartache that can be corrected. A point of pain needs to be observed in order for it to be healed. So one of the things that we're really seeing that is occurring right now is this moment that is allowing for some point of understanding. It is point of recognition today, and it may feel very difficult because it may require addressing some of this pain that you're effectively carrying right now. For feminine, this is a continuation of the work that we saw and identified was occurring throughout that Venus in retrograde cycle going direct. Feminine energy has been doing this the whole time. Feminine energy is effectively doing it right now from a space or place of deep bravery, really confronting the heart of the matter today, but also utilizing, again, and I need to stress this, utilizing that point of heartbreak as a point of empowerment, allowing that strength to come through, and that is also helping to navigate their decisions going forward. What we appreciate about this is effectively talking towards both masculine and feminine right now, confronting a lot of those burdens and difficulties, and instead of letting them be a point of moving or operating from a trigger, letting them empower you to effectively take the point of action that you need at this time. This is speaking to all energies relevant around these circumstances and situations, but it may be requiring right now facing or dealing or confronting with some of this pain, with some of this burden as you proceed forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Swords in combination with our Nine of Cups in its reversal. So, again, a moment right now, situations and circumstances that are effectively making you have to face or deal with something that is painful. For energies that is in partnership right now, this could have a lot to do with mutual contribution. This is going to feel a lot more small potatoes today, potentially, if you are in partnership at this moment. But there may even be some dealing with some sense of heartache or heartbreak. This could really vary on the scale right now in terms of how big this conversation is. For the partnered energies, this could be literally something small about how something difficult is creating problems right now that needs to be amended, or it could be a much wider conversation. This can really vacillate, but this is effectively the theme. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is much bigger, because what we're really seeing right now is this is masculine and feminine energy facing the pain around some situations or circumstances where they feel like some level or degree of withholding is occurring. Masculine, you effectively potentially understand why this withholding is occurring. You've been seeing the feminine in this vibration. Feminine energy has been protecting their heart space. Feminine energy has put up a wall. Masculine, you are effectively understanding right now potentially what you need to do to take down that wall. It's more of a question of whether you are showing your own degree or level of commitment to do so at this time. For feminine energy right now, this is effectively looking at the masculine energy and coming to terms with the fact that if that wall has not been removed, if that openness isn't there, if that clarity isn't there right now, feminine energy is just concentrating and reaffirming that those are situations and circumstances that are only going to bring further hurt to the feminine, hence reaffirming their decisions as they go forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Cups. How is masculine energy trying to navigate this blockage? Well, we see here that this is a bit more of that continuing movement right now into an emotional space. We see here that this is the masculine trying to come forward right now from a space of emotionality. This could even be, again, a masculine energy diverting away from what is effectively being offered at this time to try to express from a center of emotion, trying to express their own emotional openness. For some of the feminine right now, this is going to feel bittersweet that we're seeing here, because there could even be something that is coming through right now where it is, again, it is not necessarily a matter about how someone cares about someone today that may be the issue. It could be the fact that something is coming through right now at a moment that the emotional offer isn't what's effectively needed at this time, or it may be something that can heal. We're really going to see that depending on where the feminine falls on this right now as we continue to draw some of these cards, because we do see here that masculine is in a state or space right now where there is a point of understanding. There is a point of understanding in terms of what kind of heartache, what kind of heartbreak has effectively triggered some of this situation or circumstance. We see here that for a lot of the masculine right now, there is a lot of emotionality potentially being put forth today to try to amend or correct for some of this blockage. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this time, this is going to feel like a point of catharsis. This is going to be something that is very positive or potentially productive here, because what we're really identifying right now is effectively there is potentially some dispute right now or issues coming through, potentially even as it relates to mutual accountability in the relationship, what one is giving forth versus whether it is being matched. Masculine, we're almost seeing you're moving more into a point of like a conciliatory role today, potentially allowing a lot of this like energy to move forward to try to like ease some of this. While for feminine right now, you could be getting some of this support from a masculine that is effectively putting a point of emotionality towards things right now to help you understand and recognize that they see the pain that is effectively being experienced. While for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is again a bit more of a trigger, a bit more of a problem space. Because for the feminine energy right now that is effectively going through this right now, we are seeing the fact that for both masculine and feminine energy, there is a point of heartbreak. Masculine is trying to come forward right now from an emotional space. For a lot of the masculines right now, this is going to be something that is effectively going to try to move away from this wall. For a lot of the masculines right now, this is that moment that we see that you are falling on that side of the line in terms of effectively potentially coming forward, being able to have that openness, have this as a point of observation, being able to kind of put forward right now to be able to move into something that feels like it is more of a space of commitment at this time. For the other part, and this is a moment that again for the masculine is difficult. It is difficult for the masculine to come forward from this space or place of emotionality. But we see that for some of the masculine energy, this is effectively identifying that point of transformation. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now that is experiencing this, this is that moment that you may be trying to amend or correct for that lack of openness through an emotional appeal. This is a masculine energy that is effectively potentially not necessarily in a space or place to change right now, but is still trying to heal the rift to some extent. And they're trying to do so by trying to come forward from an emotional place, though they may still be withholding to a certain degree. Feminine right now is effectively moving again from a point of caution. This is what we see because feminine is effectively holding firm right now in the fact that they need this level or degree of understanding and clarity to help navigate them forward from this point. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Nine of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Page of Cups in its reversal. So masculine energy potentially this could feel like a lot of heavy energy today, especially if you're not in partnership right now. Because if you are in separation, as we said, one thing that we are seeing here that could feel a little bit difficult right now is the feeling that for a lot of masculine energy right now, you're feeling at a bit of a loss. You may be feeling like a little bit against the ropes right now emotionally, because there are some situations and circumstances that you're effectively experiencing right now that you are seeing that you can either come from one or two different sides of this. This is either requiring a moment of giving forth, being open, having that level of degree of openness that is effectively going to allow some opportunity or avenue to be able to move forward in some degree. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, that is effective, but that will require you to effectively give up a level or degree of your own autonomy at this time. For the other part of the masculine collective at this moment, this is feeling like more of a challenging space right now, because again, this is also requiring a sacrifice, because for the other part of the masculine energy, this is effectively you saying that that is a bridge too far. You're not able to open up in that capacity and degree, and you're effectively willing to walk away from something entirely at the cost of that, because you're not necessarily ready to abandon that sense of self that has that level of degree of personal autonomy at this moment. Both sides of this, for masculine right now, this is the heartbreak moment. Either way, this is creating some deep level of degree of work or pain or difficulty. For feminine right now, this is effectively seeing this in the masculine. You could even be identifying that this is happening right now, feminine. And again, this is why we're seeing that for a lot of the feminine, the fact is that there may even be a bridge that is already not able to be crossed, because feminine was looking at a space or place of any trepidation as some point of confirmation yesterday, which was a bit of a problem area, right? The feminine energy is now even resistant potentially to this, specifically because if feminine saw a point of asking for this and not receiving it immediately, that was almost a bit of the confirmation that was happening. So whether this is something that the feminine will accept right now is also feeling potentially bittersweet if you are in separation, because for some of the feminine energy, this is something that you've already made your judgment on. This is something that you potentially already decided upon because the length of time has been too great, or because there's been too much trepidation. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, if you haven't even received this from this point, this is allowing you to move forward with a level of degree of healing at this time, even though it is very difficult and potentially even heartbreaking at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we love to see this queen in this position. What are we effectively seeing here? We are seeing the fact that the feminine energy is staying grounded. They are staying stable. They are staying firm. Feminine energy is holding their ground. Feminine energy worked all yesterday to maintain a sense of balance. Feminine energy is holding firm to that sense of balance. Feminine energy is effectively making a decision right now, recommitting to the fact that they're not letting anything in that is going to upset their own sense of stability. Masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this time, this is effectively what is allowing the energy to continue to move forward in this degree and capacity. For masculine and feminine energy that is working in this way, again, there may be some points of observation that are being recognized right now, maybe even some conversations about feeling like one or the other isn't necessarily contributing to the extent that the other would desire. We see here that masculine is effectively coming forth in some of these partnerships right now to be able to allow some point of reconciliation, specifically because you identify that the feminine energy is that grounding force around you right now. Being able to navigate this and see that level or degree of support right now from the feminine is what is helping to fortify this. Even around, I got to stress, for some of the masculine energy right now, it could feel a little frustrating, because it could even feel right now that there's something that the feminine is like asking of you that, like, again, is taking you away from something that you would rather be doing, moving you out of something that feels like it would be a point of easement. You're just like kind of not there for it, but you're doing it anyway, because again, the feminine energy is creating this like sense or space of stability for you at this time. While for masculine and feminine energy not in partnership right now, in separation, this is going to feel a lot different, because right now this is a blockage point for the masculine, that this feminine energy standing in a space or place of being so grounded right now is feeling challenging. It is feeling difficult. Feminine is effectively reaffirming and recommitting to themselves only allowing energy in that creates and builds stability for them at this time. This is what is creating a moment right now that the feminine energy is requiring full transparency from masculine energy at this moment. And masculine is effectively feeling this and seeing this to a level or degree. There is a moment right now where masculine is recognizing that the feminine energy in this vibration is not effectively going to be in a space or place that allows for any level or degree of obfuscation. There has to be something that is fully open, or that there's nothing there at all. This transparency, this clarity, that putting everything on the table right now, it has to be there, or the feminine is effectively just it's just completely rejecting it. Masculine, you're potentially, if you're in separation right now, you are struggling between this point right now because you are identifying and you are seeing the stability of this energy. You are potentially recognizing right now the fact that you are in a modality right now that is effectively forcing you to a certain degree to have to decide whether you are ready to sacrifice some of that feeling of autonomy, being able to do what you would desire to do at this time in order to move towards that feminine again. But at the cost of that autonomy, or if that is a bridge too far, if you are willing to sacrifice or move away from the relationship because and for the reason that that feminine energy isn't effectively going to allow you that level or degree of autonomy that you would ideally desire at this point. Masculine energy is vacillating between this point right now. Some of you are falling on one side of this, the other you are falling on the other. And for both, it's a bit heartbreaking. There's a little bit of a heartbreak around both of those because something is being released. So, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Cups and its reversal in combination with our Eight of Pentacles. So, a moment or level right now where there is a committing right now to the work at hand. For feminine, this could even just be, this is that doubling down in the practical space right now. Feminine energy is effectively, if this is happening right now, they're getting their mind off of it by just throwing themselves into their work. They're just throwing themselves into it, just right down into it, letting it be that point, even as they're struggling through the heartbreak of having to make this difficult choice. For masculine but for the feminine energy that is in a space or place that is seeing the masculine being able to come forward to this degree, this is feminine recommitting and redoubling their own confirmation that that is something that they'd be willing to move towards right now. For again, feminine energy right now, we are seeing that there are two different places. There are a lot of decisions potentially being made today. Feminine energy is effectively like, again, experiencing this from the masculine and it's reaffirming their own commitment. Or this is a moment that feminine is recognizing that they don't see it in the masculine, at which point they're putting their own energy back into themselves at this time. While for masculine energy that is going through this right now, you are also feeling this moment, that you're recognizing right now that this is effectively a moment of commitment. The question is, are you committing to yourself at this time? Are you continuing to commit just to yourself and your own sense of autonomy? Or if you're ready to put your energy and full force into something that feels like it is committed, that you are building into right now. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is feeling like a bit more of a challenging space because not a challenging space. This is feeling more about that reaffirmation of the commitment towards a partnership. That there's something here about, again, not being in a space or place of being able to have that point of easement today, but redoubling, refocusing your energy, allowing that to help fortify and secure the partnership as you proceed forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Swords in its reversal. This is trying to deal. There is something coming through right now as it relates to some circumstances and situations from the past rising to the surface again. This is something that is effectively, again, we keep seeing this to a certain level or degree. Again, the energies that are in partnership, there may be something that is coming forward right now that is requiring some kind of addressing of the past. There's something here. There may even be a moment right now, again, looking at situations from the past to be able to find those more productive things going forward. We appreciate this in partnership right now because what we are seeing here in partnership is there may be something that is coming back from the past, but it is being used in a very productive way. It is actually coming through right now as a source of productivity. And it's almost allowing right now a level of degree of assessment. I need to stress that there may be something right now that is being pointed out, especially about this like point of like, I'm seeing here for the masculine and feminine energy in partnership right now. There could be something as it relates to being able to show the amount of commitment or the amount of work that's being put into something right now by trying to refer to something from the past, almost like using the past as some level or degree of comparison right now to try to prove the differences between what things used to be like versus now, to say and try to show that level of degree of investment in the situation and partnership, even in divine union right now. Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is not in partnership, this is feeling a lot different. Because what we're really effectively seeing right now is for the masculine and the feminine energy right now that is working in separation, we are seeing that there is something that is effectively happening right now. For feminine energy, this is a moment that, again, it is feeling very triggering because there's something here that we see that feminine energy, we're feeling some of this feeling of the past rising back up to the surface today. But what's really lovely about this for the feminine is it's not the fact that it's rising back up. It's the fact that feminine energy is finding a productive way to navigate through it. This is some of that stability that we see right now for the feminine. It's not the fact that a trigger isn't effectively being hit right now for the feminine. It's more the fact that feminine energy is effectively not necessarily moving into this space of being triggered by it. They're utilizing it in a very functional way. They're taking it and they're almost making it productive. They're taking this heartache. They're taking this frustration. But the only thing that they're not taking it to is a masculine that may be the cause or the source of it. Instead, they're channeling it back into a space or place of productivity. Now, for masculine energy right now, this is a bit different if you're in separation, because what's effectively happening at this time is potentially some situations and scenarios from the past are also rising up to you as well right now. We are seeing that for some of the masculine energy, as we identify, there's something here. And again, if this is masculine energy that feels like they need to give forth on this right now, then this is a moment that masculine energy, again, this is the masculine energy having to potentially take some accounting for the past. This is masculine energy having to put that work and energy into accounting and for the past. This isn't a situation where the past can just be forgotten. This is something that is trying to show that the masculine needs to account for it. For the masculine energy right now that is falling on the side right now of feminine, that is effectively requiring this at this time. The feminine energy that's effectively saying that this is the barrier in order to be able to come towards the feminine. This, for some of the masculine energy right now, is that moment that you're potentially referring or having to bring up the past right now. And this may be feeling like this is not something that you would desire to do, but you also recognize that it is something that must be done in order to move forward in productive ways and spaces. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now, this is a moment that, again, even if this is new partnership energy, if this is new energy that you're trying to move towards right now, you are also recognizing that there's something here that you also need to take accounting for as it relates to the past. There's something here that you need to articulate and explain right now to feminine that is feeling very triggering because it is reminding you you're almost repeating a cycle. You're in a space and place right now where you're feeling very, very triggered because it feels like something is happening again, because it is. Because you're going through the same karmic work. Because you aren't necessarily, because as you're staying in this vibration, you effectively have to kind of continue to go through this karmic energy until you're willing to go into that space of transformation. So for the masculine energy right now, this is that moment that is feeling potentially like there may even feel like a lot of deja vu that's effectively happening at this time for the masculine going through this. Because again, this might not necessarily feel like you've been here before, you've done this before, because at the same time, you're recognizing that the same possibility is effectively being put before you right now. So this is a moment that is allowing you to decide if you're going to repeat the things that happened in the past or if you're going to commit your energy going forward in a more productive way. For feminine energy right now, this is just, again, it's feeling triggering. It's reminding you of something from the past, but feminine energy is committed to moving forward based on that space of security. Masculine and feminine energy right now in partnership, this isn't so much of a big deal. This is potentially more just like something about like comparing the past to the present and being in a point of appreciation in terms of how much progress has been made. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Strength card and our Knight of Cups. Masculine energy and feminine energy really trying to pull a lot of strength today, utilizing this sense of strength, really allowing this to push you forward. This is difficult. There's a lot of pain or frustration on the table today. Not so much for partnered energies. This is a lot more easing in the partnered energy. Unpartnered energy, this is some heavy stuff today. This is some very heavy stuff. We are seeing here that for the feminine energy right now, there is a moment right now that is almost forcing you to take that heartbreak and to turn it into a source of strength. Feminine energy is utilizing that right now. Feminine energy is taking it and they are utilizing it in productive ways today. They're kind of throwing their effort and energy back into their work one way or another, either with masculine energy that's showing this level or degree of openness that is allowing them that point and possibility to be able to have something productive, or they're throwing it back into themselves and the work that they're committed to so far. For masculine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is that moment of choice, because you are recognizing right now that there is some point of access. There is some availability to come towards feminine right now from an emotional center, but it is taking potentially a lot of strength to do so. That there's something here about having to come from a space of emotional appeal, that space of openness, that space of honesty, that is requiring a tremendous amount of strength. For some of the masculine, this is potentially feeling right now that one of the things you may even be communicating right now is your own inability to do so. But from either space, masculine is recognizing that they feel this need to try to come forward in an honestly, emotionally authentic way right now that is requiring a lot of strength. Feminine, the problem here, and I need to stress this for feminine experiencing this, is potentially feeling like they need to be very strong towards a masculine energy that is coming towards you from a space or place of an emotional appeal. But we see here that the feminine is not in a space or place where an emotional appeal is what they're seeking. Feminine energy is potentially feeling right now that they need that clarity, they need that understanding beyond the emotional appeal as well. May I please get one card to clarify? Well, for masculine and feminine energy in partnership right now, this is masculine offering that level of degree of emotional support to feminine, and it is almost immediately empowering. This is like the opposite in partnership right now. This is like a battery getting charged. This is masculine offering this emotional support to feminine, and it like immediately charges the battery. Clarification coming through right now with Ace of Swords. This is a point of success. This is a breakthrough. This is a point of victory that we're effectively seeing here. For all of the energies. I do like this. There's breakthroughs that are coming today. There are points of success that are coming through right now for both masculine and feminine energy in and out of partnership at this time. For masculine and feminine energy that are in partnership, what we're really identifying is, again, this is really feeling the support of the partnership at this moment to be able to navigate any frustrations or hurdles at this time. Masculine and feminine energy are effectively leaning on one another. Masculine is leaning on the strength and stability of the feminine energy. And the feminine, for their part, is lending masculine that strength today. Masculine is returning it with emotional support, with emotional encouragement. This is like creating this like beautiful, like reciprocal loop of strength and emotionality, strength and emotionality. We love to see this as creating points of success and positivity. For masculine and feminine energy that are in separation right now, again, this is a bit more of a struggle point. Because again, we are seeing here that feminine energy is trying to maintain a point of strength. They are trying to maintain a level of strength through some circumstances and situations that are extremely challenging. Okay, we see here that there's a lot of heartbreak on the table right now for the energies that are not in partnership at this moment. One of the difficulties or hurdles right now that are potentially arising has to do in separation with feminine potentially even receiving this emotionality, this emotional appeal. And for some of the energy right now that is in partnership, for feminine energy right now, again, there's two different things that are happening today. For some of the feminine energy right now, this is potentially effectively you getting that, this is the masculine falling on that side. This is the masculine coming to you from a space or place of authenticity, of clarity. This is them coming forward and potentially providing you the thing that you are effectively seeking. And that is the victory for the feminine that is experiencing that. For the other part, but again, there is something here that is bittersweet around it, because there is something here that does feel like there is a bit of a concession that has to be made even as you're experiencing this right now. For them, this is a pain. This is going to be like, this is giving me a lot of like, again, a bittersweet victory. A bittersweet like victory here for both masculine and feminine energy at this time. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, we're effectively seeing is the fact that there's something about this situation and circumstance that is potentially coming into play, where masculine is trying to come towards you potentially with some emotionality. But given the timing, given the circumstances, given the fact that this is something that you potentially asked for and did not receive when you needed it, this is requiring you to hold firm and to keep a degree of strength as you experience it, not wanting to perpetuate heartbreak further. And that for the other part of the especially, and feminine is identifying and articulating that by seeing if they have that clarity as to why. There's going to potentially be, I'm seeing here, any emotionality coming forth right now, the big question is going to effectively be, why now? Why now? Why here? What happened in between? And if masculine can't effectively answer that, feminine will be in a point of potentially rejecting this, and that will also be a point of victory for feminine. Because this will be the moment for feminine where they recognize that they are not going to sacrifice their stability to move back into something that was just in the same space that it was prior. Masculine right now, this is that moment that, again, you are falling on two different sides of this. This is either a moment that you are feeling right now that you are trying to come forward to feminine, you're being open, you're providing this clarity, you're coming from true authenticity matched with emotionality, and that is leading to immediate success with the feminine, even though it's taking a tremendous amount of strength to do so. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is a moment right now that you may be trying to come forward towards feminine from an emotional appeal, hoping that that will lead to a point of victory. But again, this is potentially also a point of struggle here, because you realize that this becomes more of a strength exercise to challenge the feminine to see if they will resist it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between Knight of Cups in combination with our Queen of Pentacles. So for masculine and feminine right now, again, the partnered energies right now, this is absolutely beautiful. This is, again, we are seeing here that beautiful symbiosis, even through some points of difficulty today. Empowerment coming through, masculine lending that emotional support to the feminine, feminine working as building a lot of stability at this time for the masculine. Masculine and feminine energy right now that are not in partnership, this is a bit more of a challenging space right now, because again, what we are seeing here is a feminine energy that is solely focused on their stability. They're keeping completely focused. Their priority is their stability. Masculine's coming towards them right now from a point of emotional appeal. Masculine's coming forward to them from a point of emotional appeal. For some of the feminine energy right now, this is the feminine energy potentially only accepting that emotional appeal if there is practical clarity along with the emotional appeal. For the other part of the collective right now, this is that challenging space to see if that is something that can happen, because these two things aren't necessarily working completely and like they're both coming from a place of authenticity. The question is, are they giving each other what they need? May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Cups in its reversal. There's something here that needs to be addressed as to what the heck does this look like going forward. And we're seeing that right now for the masculine and the feminine energy that are not in partnership. Because what we're effectively identifying right now for the energies that are not in partnership is, again, feminine energies working in a space of a lot of practical conversation, in a very practical space right now. Feminine energy is looking for something that feels like it will be functional. Feminine energy is effectively looking right now towards the emotional appeals the masculine is bringing forth to them to see what the long-term path would look like, what that would effectively shape up to be, what that would even look like. There's something here, and this is why the feminine needs some clarity right now as it relates to what the masculine is bringing them from an emotional level. Because feminine energy is effectively saying right now they need to see and fully understand what the masculine is bringing forth right now, because feminine energy is not questioning the emotional integrity of the space and place that masculine is coming from right now. But they've got deep anxiety as to whether they are unified in terms of their long-term manifestation goals. This is why feminine energy is requiring this level or degree of openness from the masculine right now, because that is giving them all the indication they need and understanding if this is a masculine energy they can actually build a productive future with that is actually aligned with their long-term plans and goals. Masculine energy for your part right now, you are effectively, again, if you are not in partnership at this moment, having to navigate the fact that there is a feminine energy that is solely focused right now on stability and that long-term manifestation goal. For some of the masculine energy right now, again, this is some of that choice that we are seeing here. Because for some of the masculine energy right now, this is a moment that you need to give forward. You need to recognize and open up, and you recognize that you need to open up to the feminine in this capacity. And that's also making you recognize that this feminine is only going to be accessible if you are in alignment with the long-term manifestation goal that they are trying to work towards at this time. For masculine, this is the vacillation point, because that's that moment that we're seeing that is happening for the masculine energy right now, where it's effectively you are feeling like you're not necessarily going to have the future entirely in your hands. You're going to have to collaborate on it. It's going to have to be a joint effort. It's not something that you can just kind of determine your own path and go whichever way you please. You're going to have to make some choices. And this is that moment for the masculine that you yourself may also be looking towards a long-term focus. You may be looking towards the future right now. You may even be doing a lot of this internal work right now, masculine, to help you as you navigate this, to effectively try to decide, what does that future look like? What is it that you desire? And is this a future that you can envision with this feminine energy that will allow you to be able to take that level of degree of conceding and moving away out of that energy into this vibration of coming into focus and alignment in terms of the long-term manifestation goals? For some of the masculine energy right now, this is what you are doing. And you're recognizing, and this is why it's hard for the masculine right now who's doing this, you're recognizing that you have to let go of some things to be able to have others, right? This is what's happening right now. Like masculine is like, I have to let go of maybe some of my own future plans, my own autonomy for this opportunity, for this stability. This is what is effectively coming into play right now. For some of the masculine energy, you're doing this right now. This is a bittersweetness that we're seeing. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, this is a bridge too far. This is you effectively making a choice to literally move away from a very stable feminine energy that you recognize as stable, specifically because you're not ready to shed your own level or degree of autonomy at this time. But that level of degree of autonomy is from a point of a lack of openness. So for feminine right now, this is effectively what you're potentially seeing. This is why the feminine energy is not accepting the emotional offers just at face value right now. They're needing some point of clarification. They need it from a point of recognizing if the masculine, and this is also interesting because we're really seeing here for a lot of the feminine energy is open to what that long-term growth or potential is. They're just effectively looking for masculine to be open about it so that they can see if they can align their goals. There could even be a moment right now where the feminine's trying to articulate and say, like, I'm not asking you to abandon your dreams to move towards me. I am simply asking you to be open about what they are. For some of the masculine energy, that level of openness is a bridge too far, ending potentially any possibility of long-term productivity. Masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership right now, this is effectively having to come into alignment with some long-term plans and goals. There could be a moment right now that is feeling like there is some point of frustration that is rising through right now. We are seeing here that for the energies in partnership, there may be some point of having to have a deeper question of alignment in terms of like what that long-term plan looks like right now, to be able to determine how you can come into better alignment going forward. Because again, there's something here about the contribution of one or the other right now that is casting some doubt in terms of potentially seeing that long-term goal manifesting. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Pentacles in combination with our Four of Swords in its reversal. Feminine energy, this is like a little bit of a tricky point today because we're seeing really for the feminine right now that there is something that is effectively coming into play right now about building a point of stability for yourself at this moment. You are working and you are concentrating very heavily on your own stability. This is very difficult for the feminine today because this is requiring some level or degree of dealing with past situations or past circumstances today. This is either happening metaphysically within the self, or it's happening in very practical ways. But feminine is keeping their focus on what is creating a point of stability for themselves at this moment as they proceed forward from this point. For masculine energy right now, this is also, again, having to deal with some circumstances or situations from the past potentially rising to the surface. Again, in the face and looking towards right now a feminine energy that is showing every level or degree of a lot of stability here. The problem that's effectively happening right now for some of the masculine energy right now is, again, if you are not in partnership at this time, this could even be feeling like something about what you're doing right now feels like it's a repetition. It's something that you've experienced before, something that you're trying to work through right now. Again, there's a difference though in terms of the setting, because we see here that there's a focus right now on a very stable feminine energy as you are navigating forward from this point. This is creating some level or degree of change or adaptability that's potentially coming through this moment that is requiring a reconsideration point. This is creating a space or place that is pushing you into this point right now that could feel very triggering, and that's either going to lead you again to move away from this energy or to have to do some point of internal transformation to move closer towards it. For feminine energy right now, this is effectively also being triggered. What you're experiencing right now from the masculine is triggering you. It's either triggering you because it's an energy from the past and it's requiring some point of explanation, or it's triggering you because something that energy is doing is reminding you a lot of something that occurred before. This is why feminine keeps pulling back and focusing on their stability. Feminine's looking for that clarity to articulate. Feminine's holding firm in what makes them feel stable to navigate this trigger. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership. This is potentially mutually having to deal with some circumstances or situations from the past. Feminine is showing the fact that they have a great deal of stability that they can do in the process of navigating that. Masculine is also experiencing that. You're feeling the support from the feminine, being stable in that capacity, and it's further strengthening the partnership. May I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. Now, this is very interesting because what we're effectively seeing right now, and this is what is going to feel like a little difficult for the feminine right now, is feminine energy is moving right now in this vibration where they're working very hard on their stability and maintaining that stable center. Doesn't mean that they're not feeling anything. To the masculine, it could actually feel, there could even be some anxieties around the feminine not feeling anything at this time. For some of the masculine, you may even misinterpret what you see from a feminine right now that's effectively going through this at this time. You may even be feeling like this energy does not care about you or does not have any care for you. What we're really seeing here is like the situation or scenario is quite the opposite. Again, feminine energy is not looking at these situations and circumstances weighing their care. Feminine energy is recognizing to a certain degree that they have to divorce their own sense of care or empathy towards something at this time, to focus and to maintain a level of clarity around situations that are triggering. What did we learn during the Venus in retrograde cycle? What did feminine energy come out of that learning? Feminine energy came out of that Venus in retrograde cycle, identifying their own capacity and ability to overgive to situations and scenarios that do not give back in kind. So what is feminine energy doing now that it has gone direct? Feminine energy is utilizing their personal internal strength, not to allow emotional appeals to move them back into spaces and places of heartbreak. They're trying to stay at a point of stability around situations and circumstances that are very triggering. Either metaphysically triggering right now, like it's reminding you a lot of something that happened before. You're trying to make a different choice by not letting your emotions drive you forward in that way. Or it's actually happening with past energy and you're trying to make a different choice. You're trying to stay at a point of keeping a level head. While for masculine energy that's experiencing this right now, again, this could potentially feel like you're falling in two different spaces. For some of the masculine energy right now, you may be feeling that this is a deeper sense of rejection right now because you're potentially not seeing what is happening. You're potentially like seeing this right now and you're assuming that this energy never emotionally cared about you or this energy no longer cares about you. That's not the case, clearly. What we're seeing here is this is what's actually happening. You may be even at this moment potentially weighing that around this energy if they're responding in this way or shape or form. For the other part of the masculine energy at this moment, this is potentially that point of observation. This is potentially that point of observation in recognizing that there is a feminine energy that is not being moved by emotional appeals, but is just trying to move from a state or space of maintaining their stability. For both energies, for masculine energy right now, this is effectively feeling very triggering at this time. For masculine energy right now, again, and I need to stress, for some of the masculine energy in separation right now, there may even be a situation that's evolving right now between two different feminine energies that's around you that may be feeling kind of triggering or difficult. I need to stress that for some of the masculine energy that is in separation right now, this is either a single manifestation of feminine that is embodying these qualities and characteristics, maintaining a point of emotional balance, while also being somewhat closed off the emotions. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now that is in separation, this could be you having to deal with some situations or circumstances where there's more than one feminine at play. Just bringing that up. And again, something about this is also like creating a space or place of feeling very triggering. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, we see that again, this is something that there's some kind of work that is occurring right now that is requiring a level of degree of balancing out the past coming into fruition. We are seeing for the feminine right now, this is a challenging space for the feminine because even if this is again on a metaphysical level or on a personal level, the feminine is trying to maintain a point of stability through some situations or circumstances that they're recognizing that are very hard for them emotionally. But feminine is effectively doing that work to maintain that point of balance. Masculine, you're potentially recognizing that feminine is doing this work at this time, and you're doing everything necessary that you can to support them emotionally as they go through some situations and circumstances that may be feeling somewhat emotionally trying and difficult at this time. Continuing, and for feminine right now, if you're in partnership, you're effectively navigating that with the assistance of the masculine that is providing you that emotional support. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Swords in combination with our Ten of Cups in its reversal. This is very interesting energy that we're seeing today. This is very interesting energy that we're seeing today. This is that combination energy that we're effectively experiencing and seeing. Because while we see that there is some point of victory that is occurring around some situations and circumstances right now, it's through some point of disruption. It's through some moment right now that is requiring some point of recalibration. It is requiring some point of realignment. It is causing a moment right now that is allowing for something more productive to come through right now, even as there is some point of observation in something that needs correcting or realignment. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is working in partnership at this moment, this is potentially creating a space or place right now that is requiring you to look at the long-term path, the long-term goals, to be able to ask what you need to change or adjust right now to be able to have that most productive path going forward. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is going to feel like a lot more of a challenging space right now, because what we're really identifying at this moment is a point that we are seeing that you are effectively having to look at the oppositional energy towards you. And you need to determine and decide if you can come together as it relates to the long-term path and goal that you're trying to create for yourselves at this moment. For masculine right now, again, this is that moment of potentially feeling like you have to abandon your own personal journey in order to come into alignment with a grounded feminine and unify in terms of that long-term path and goal, at which point this is the victory, because you're moving into union or partnership with a very stable feminine energy. For the other part of the collective right now, again, that bittersweet energy for masculine in potentially abandoning that long-term goal, but feeling the freedom of the personal journey that you're effectively getting in the meantime. Again, very difficult because you're shedding a lot of stable feminine energy in the process. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that for the feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is really, really bittersweet today. Because this is feminine energy effectively looking towards masculine right now. Potentially even identifying to a certain level and to a certain degree the fact that the feminine is very focused on the manifestation goals, and the feminine is not going to abandon that long-term plan and long-term path. We're seeing here the feminine is not effectively in a point right now where they're going to be abandoning that path for anyone, especially and inclusive to masculine energy that is potentially coming towards them right now without that clarity. Even if it's from an emotional appeal, the clarity needs to be present. For feminine, this is that bittersweet, because this is either allowing that state or space, receiving that today, getting that point of positivity. Or for the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is a moment that you are effectively potentially receiving this and just saying, like, there isn't something here that can move forward. There's no future here. There's nothing that can be built upon because that clarity was never provided. And that is also creating a moment of productivity, a moment of success, a moment of victory. So a lot of bittersweet energy right now coming into play. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Pentacles. This is leading to a lot of productivity. This is leading to a lot of immediate results. We are seeing here, this is that application right now into the practical spaces. We like this right now because in a way there is this feeling of some point of balance that's effectively being restored right now for both masculine and feminine energy. For masculine and feminine energy right now that's in partnership, there may be some anxieties that are coming into play about what the future looks like. There may even have to be some kind of difficult decisions right now, talking about contributions and mutual contribution back and forth in the partnership in terms of what people are contributing. That may require some need of assessment, but again, is immediately leading to recommitment to the partnerships and a feeling of success going forward from here. But it's all through navigating some of the hurdles to be able to get to the point of victory. While for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is that moment that we are effectively seeing that is feeling so bittersweet. Feminine is deeply focused right now on only building towards things that feel like they are stable and providing that level of degree of stability at this time. Feminine energy is effectively even abandoning some long-term path or hope that they had for the future at this time, specifically because they don't necessarily see or recognize the possibility of that effectively occurring. That there may even be an energy right now that feminine feels a lot of emotional attachment to right now, but there may be some point of deeper assessment that the energy is going through in terms of recognizing that that emotional connection may not necessarily lead to anything that could have a long-term future point of success or victory or optimism. To feminine right now, that is effectively the victory. Recognizing that, as difficult as it is creating that catharsis point that we've been seeing throughout this Venus in retrograde cycle. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is effectively getting something. This is effectively the feminine energy getting this from the masculine at this moment. This is feminine energy finally getting something potentially from masculine energy that they've been waiting on. But I will point out there was even a level or degree of time that occurred potentially from when this was requested to when it is being received. And that needs to be navigated because it's already created something that feels somewhat bittersweet, because it's this moment of recognizing that something feels like it's off alignment here. It doesn't feel like this was something that was eagerly moved into. It wasn't something that was like rushed towards so much as it was something that was like slowly brought into focus. And even then, this is bittersweet for the feminine. In that case, in that situation, it almost feels like kind of a bittersweet victory because, it doesn't feel like someone potentially has their full heart invested in something. Okay? For masculine energy right now, this is that moment that you're effectively deciding at this point. This is that moment that you're looking at something and you're making the decision as to whether you're ready to make some adjustments, stop moving from a state of autonomy, go into something that feels more stable. But in both directions, we see the fact that you recognize or feel like there's a bit of a loss that's occurring. For the masculines on one side of this is feeling like you're losing your own sense of autonomy. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is effectively you feeling that you're having to move away from a feminine energy to preserve your own sense of autonomy. May I please, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our 10 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. So, this is difficult right now. Feminine energy, even in partnership at this moment, are navigating some spaces or places that are shaking or putting some anxiety or fear on their long-term manifestation goals. There's something here that is triggering the feminine right now. And there's something here that is causing the feminine energy to be in a space that feels emotionally overwhelming to a certain degree. A lot of these anxieties are coming to the surface right now. We are seeing and recognizing right now that, especially for the energy that is not in partnership, the separated energy, there's something about recognizing this moment that feels like it is somewhat devastating. There's something here in terms of acknowledging this that is creating a point of devastation. This is some of that triggering energy we're seeing from the past rising to the surface again. On both sides. Whatever the situation is right now with masculine, this is creating a space or place that feels rather low. Because again, for some of the feminine energy right now, there is something here about getting something a little bit later than you may have anticipated, even if it's coming right now, that feels somewhat bittersweet. Right? It's like, it's giving me a lot of energy of somehow feeling a little bit like a shallow victory. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, for the feminine energy right now, this is a moment of abandoning some long-term hope or plan that you potentially had. Coming to terms with something that you may have hoped would be able to move in a certain direction, but you're recognizing or potentially seeing that there's something about this masculine that is not allowing that to be possible, that you're not seeing this change occurring. And that is also something that is creating this sense of frustration. The problem for the feminine right now is, regardless of whether you see the change or not, it is still creating a point of frustration to a certain extent. It's not, I'm getting here, it's almost like feminine not getting it, not getting what they wanted the way that they ideally wanted it. Even for the feminines that are getting what they wanted, it's almost like, I didn't want it like this kind of thing. While for the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is that moment that you're focusing on yourself. You're abandoning that. You're not seeing that long-term path or future opening up. You're keeping that point of composure. While for feminine and masculine energy right now, that is in partnership, this is effectively having to navigate some circumstances or situations that are just very emotionally challenging to the feminine. masculine and masculine, but you're doing everything you can to emotionally support each other right now. Feminine is working on creating stability for the masculine through this while they're going through a bit of emotional overwhelm. Masculine is seeing the fact that this is emotionally overwhelming for feminine, and they're doing everything they can to lend the emotional part. So these are energies working in union, giving each other what they need, like again, keeping this little battery running as they navigate forward in divine union. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Just gotta hold on. Everybody. You know, for masculine and feminine energy right now that are in partnership, there's something about this that is feeling very reaffirming. We're seeing, because while there may be some feelings right now or some points of frustration outside that are creating these challenges, there is this moment that feels like there is a holding that is being kept in place. There's something here about really trying to hold firm, to hold that level of commitment, to hold on to what is most important right now. And almost potentially a lot of conversation happening right now in relationship at this moment to like build that like sense of like value and security and recognition and support, and really kind of identifying potentially even towards each energy right now, that there is this level of protection in the relationship and holding on to the relationship and doing everything necessary to navigate anything that is feeling like immediate disruptions. This is that refortification that we're seeing that's leading to positivity going forward. For the energies in partnership, this is that moment that like, again, feels like it's almost like a lot of like that circling of the wagon energy through some situations and circumstances that like, you know, are challenging. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is much more difficult, because what we're effectively seeing that is happening at this time is, again, for masculine and feminine energy, this is going to feel a bit different. We're seeing here for the masculine energy right now that is effectively going through this, there is this point of identification that is occurring as it relates to the masculine energy having to abandon some path in order to potentially move towards a feminine at this time. This is either, again, masculine energy foregoing some sense of autonomy at this time, getting more serious about something. This is masculine recognizing the choice that's effectively inherent here. Masculine energy is utilizing this right now in terms of deciding what they want to hold on to at this moment. Something about releasing some of that plan, that point of autonomy as they go forward, or potentially losing the energy of the feminine that's around them at this time. This is masculine deciding which one they want to hold on to more. And again, it doesn't, and the problem with this is that it's not even feeling very like positive or optimistic right now. It's feeling like masculine is doing it from a sense of protection, recognizing that like it's not running towards it, it's just holding on to something and not wanting to let go. This is the masculine deciding which one of these things they don't want to let go of. While for feminine right now, this is effectively seeing this right now in the masculine. This is effectively seeing that point of resistance in the masculine. Even if the masculine is coming towards the feminine right now in this way or in this degree, there could be a moment where the feminine realizes or recognizes or sees the resistance point leading up to this. And it's bittersweet for the feminine, because feminine effectively doesn't want to bring to the point. They didn't want this to be a situation. I'm getting here, feminine's like effectively trying to say to the masculine, this isn't a hostage situation. It's supposed to be a love story, right? That's effectively what the feminine is like trying to say to the masculine today, which is like, I don't want you to feel forced into moving into this. I want you to feel like this is something that you're moving into with open arms. And that is what we're effectively seeing right now, that the feminine is experiencing, even for masculines that are moving in this capacity or in this degree right now. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is effectively looking at an energy that's coming towards you right now. They're not being open. They're not being honest. You're not seeing any change. If this is new energy, it's looking too triggering to old energy that you've experienced. And this is just that moving away point. This is you just saying like, it's, you know, even if you're here, what you're providing doesn't give that clarity. I can't accept it. I have to shut off my emotional center for you. I need to hold on to what I've been building for myself, and that is the stability of the feminine at this moment. Clarification between our Ace of Pentacles and our Four of Pentacles. So, a moment right now that we are seeing effectively that is so challenging and so difficult for both masculine and feminine right now. Partnership, this is great. Partnership, this is hunky-dory. This is coming through right now, and everything about this circumstance or situation is just recommitting. It's reaffirming. It's almost like this moment that you're going through something difficult, and it's almost like that recognition of saying, like, almost an appreciation of the other energy around you. Seeing something difficult, immediately getting the support, immediately recognizing and saying, like, this is like almost like this is why I'm invested in this to begin with. This is why, because like immediately I need something, it is here, it's something, you hold on to it, and the partnership is actually being fortified throughout today based on what is occurring. For masculine and feminine energy not in partnership at this time, this is a lot more triggering, because again, it's not necessarily what is being put forward or offered right now. It is weighing what is being offered versus how it is being offered, versus whether it's being offered freely or whether it's being offered begrudgingly. For some of the feminine energy right now, this is a big sticking point, because there may be offers that are coming towards you today, but it's feeling like it's not an offer that is coming from a space of excitement. It's something that is taken, it's like a clenched fist. It's like a clenched fist that like slowly had to like be peeled open to be able to offer something. And that is why there is this heartache and decision that needs to be reached around something right now for the feminine. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is someone potentially trying to come towards you in some capacity, and you're just too resistant. You're just too resistant. It's too triggering. It's too similar. So we've got these two different modalities occurring right now. For masculine energy right now, this is decision time. This is like deal or no deal is what we're seeing. This is like feeling like that to a certain extent for masculine, because there is a struggle right now effectively happening versus like what you want to hold on to versus what you want to put forth at this time. And I'm getting here, this doesn't feel like something that is fun. I need to stress here, I'm getting here that there's something about this. This is the problem right now. There's nothing about this that feels fun anymore. It's almost feeling like it's coming from a state or place, if you're not in partnership right now, that feels like almost like a sense of like resistance, you know? I'm getting here like a lot of seriousness being brought into something that was supposed to be very fun. May I please get one card to clarify? Whew. We've got here our Knight of Swords. Okay, so I like seeing this right now, because this is leading masculine. I will say, like, masculine, like, I feel like there's this moment right now that, like, once this choice is made, it's like comes through a lot faster. It's like once this is done is what I'm effectively seeing. And it's almost like, again, I feel like there's a lot here with the masculine being like, is this something that you're going to take or not? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like the minute that happens, it's like off to the races, like kind of thing, you know? So if it's any consolation to masculine, whatever this like resistance point is that you're feeling, I'm almost seeing here like the minute you kind of like move through it, it like immediately is leading to some kind of energetic breakthrough. It's like immediately leading to some point of energetic breakthrough. So let's keep that in mind. If it's any consolation for the masculine energy that's going through this right now, because I'm seeing here that like, it's like, I feel like once you make this movement, this is like everything's off to the races again. It's almost like I'm seeing here, it's like almost like it's like the clearing of the hurdle. You know, it's almost like I'm seeing here, it's like someone taking like a leap over something. You take the leap and then suddenly like you're like rolling like very like it's almost like that. like I'm getting here that there's this feeling of like, you know, kind of jumping over the crest, and like once you do, like there's no going back. This is like kind of like this full throttle energy that we're seeing with the masculine that's not in partnership right now. For feminine right now, this is effectively seeing the masculine moving in this capacity and this degree right now. Specifically because of like your own resistance to this at this time. You know, that there's something here that we're really identifying and seeing. And I think that this is a bit of the problem right now, is depending on where feminine falls in terms of this sense of urgency that's suddenly coming into play on something. Because we're almost seeing here, and I need to stress that this may be feeling like a bit of a frustration point for the feminine right now, that feminine has been moving very slowly, specifically because of their point of trepidation. And now it's almost like that point of recognizing masculine moving so quickly that like could be feeling to the feminine right now. Again, there's different places that the feminine may fall as it relates to that sense of urgency. For the feminine right now, this is effectively kind of recognizing or understanding. Like this is either feeling like a breakthrough for some of the feminine energy. That this is recognizing that this is something that may have been coming from the masculine energy, having a point of hesitancy in terms of fearing whether it would be accepted or not. And almost like confirmation of the masculine moving so quickly afterwards reinforces to the feminine that like that was potentially the case. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is potentially, again, feeling that point of withholding, still feeling like that point where you're not necessarily ready to open up. And the masculine energy coming towards you in this fashion could be feeling a little bit more too overly aggressive or overly assertive. May even be like not something like that you would effectively desire at this time, because you're still moving from the state or place of protection. Because for some of the feminine energy right now, this is that moment of effectively trying to move away from something because they haven't been open. So if the openness isn't there, this is going to be taken in two different ways. The masculine energy, that the openness in there is there, like that's like leading to that point of productivity, in which case this like movement towards is like from a space of excitement. For the masculine energy that's trying to come forward at this way, and they haven't reached this level or degree of like full openness in terms of answering what the feminine needs answered, this is going to feel more like an act of like over assertiveness. Because for the feminine right now, this is feminine saying like, you haven't given me what I've asked for, and masculine potentially doubling down on what they are offering. Final card for today's spread is, we have here the sun in its reversal. It's heavy energy today, guys. This is heavy. I'm seeing here that there's some victories, there's some points of success, there's some points of frustration, there's some things that need to be navigated, and it's heavy. It's heavy energy. You know? There's some anxieties at play right here. There's some fears that need to be addressed. But again, it is, again, much like that Three of Swords, it's facing those fears, facing those anxieties that lead to better productive outcomes going forward. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done. My private readings are done over video. Booking a private reading with me is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you're going to have that reading. Also, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very, 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 very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in this reading. And we will do this again tomorrow.